Have you ever had one of those mornings where you open your eyes, sit up a little too fast, and suddenly the room tilts like a carnival ride? Maybe you feel lightheaded, a bit shaky, but you chalk it up to age or a bad night's sleep. Now imagine if that dizzy spell didn't pass. What if it led to something far more serious, like a stroke? That's not just a what if for many older Americans. Every year, thousands of strokes happen not during high activity or stress, but in the quiet, ordinary hours right after waking up. And often, they're linked to simple things we do or don't do as part of our morning routine. It might seem harmless to skip a glass of water, hop straight out of bed, or enjoy a piping hot shower, but those habits can quietly stack the odds against us. This video is going to walk with you, step by step, through the most common morning mistakes that can increase your risk of stroke. More importantly, I'll show you the simple, safe changes that could make your mornings not just more peaceful, but life-saving. So if you've ever worried about your health first thing in the day, or if you just want to start your mornings in a way that protects your heart and brain, this is for you. Go ahead and like this video if you find it helpful, subscribe to our channel, Vibrant Elders, and share your thoughts in the comments. We're building a thoughtful, supportive place for seniors like you. Now, let's start where the day begins, with the most overlooked time for stroke risk, right after we open our eyes. Most of us don't think much about what's happening inside our bodies the moment we wake up. The alarm buzzes, the sunlight peeks through the curtains, and we stretch, maybe yawn. But underneath all that calm, something very active is going on inside us. And for older adults, it's a time that deserves a little extra attention. You see, our bodies follow something called a circadian rhythm. It's like an internal clock that controls when we feel sleepy, hungry, alert, and even how our heart and blood vessels behave. And here's what most folks don't know. In the early hours of the morning, this rhythm causes several physical changes that can quietly increase the chance of a stroke, especially for people over 60. One of the first things that happens, your blood pressure starts to climb. It's a natural process. Your body is getting ready to be active after several hours of rest. But for seniors, especially those with high blood pressure or cardiovascular issues, this morning spike can be a little too much. Think of it like suddenly turning on a fire hose. That quick rise can strain your blood vessels, particularly if they've already stiffened with age. Another factor is your blood's clotting ability. Overnight, as you sleep and stay still for hours, your blood thickens slightly. It's subtle, but very real. Studies have shown that dehydration from overnight, combined with slower circulation, can make your blood more prone to clotting in the morning. And what causes most strokes? A clot that blocks blood flow to the brain. Add to that the stress hormone cortisol, which naturally rises in the morning. Cortisol is part of what helps you wake up. It sharpens your alertness, gives you energy, but it also tightens blood vessels and raises blood pressure. So now you've got thicker blood, higher pressure, and tighter vessels. It's like setting up the perfect storm without even realizing it. Researchers from the American Heart Association have found that strokes are significantly more likely to occur between 6 a.m. and noon. In fact, a study from the University of Cincinnati showed that nearly 50% of strokes happen in that morning window. That's a big number. And it's not because people are doing heavy lifting or running marathons. It's often the quiet routines that lead to trouble. Now, it's important to remember, this doesn't mean mornings are bad or dangerous. It just means they require a little more care. When we're younger, our bodies bounce back quickly. But after 60, especially if you're managing conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or cholesterol, the body needs a gentler start. So when we say, be careful in the morning, we're not being dramatic. We're being practical. The way you wake up, how you move, what you drink, even how warm your shower is, can either support your heart and brain or unknowingly put them under strain. If you've ever felt woozy getting out of bed or had to pause before heading to the kitchen, your body might already be giving you hints. And paying attention to those hints now can help prevent bigger issues down the line. Next, we're going to talk about the first big mistake many people make the moment they wake up, jumping out of bed too fast. It's something we've all done, and it might be doing more harm than we think. Now, think back to this morning. When you woke up, what was the first thing you did? If you're like most folks, especially those who've been waking up early for decades, you probably swung your legs over the side of the bed and stood up right away. Maybe your thoughts were already on the coffee maker or getting to the bathroom. And honestly, it's such a habit, most people never stop to think twice about it. But here's something we've come to learn. That one simple action, jumping out of bed too fast, could be much riskier than it seems, especially as we get older. Let me tell you what's going on behind the scenes. When you're lying down for hours, your blood settles into a kind of resting state. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard to keep everything flowing. But the moment you sit up or stand, gravity takes over, and blood starts to pool in the lower half of your body. If you stand too quickly, especially after sleep, your brain might not get enough blood in that instant. The result? A sudden drop in blood pressure, known as orthostatic hypotension. That drop can make you feel dizzy, disoriented, or even faint. Now, that might sound harmless, but here's the real danger. For seniors, that sudden pressure change can trigger a stroke, especially if your blood vessels are already sensitive or you have a history of hypertension. There was a case not long ago. A retired schoolteacher in Arizona, 74 years old. She told her daughter she felt off every time she got up, but figured it was just age. One morning, she stood too fast, stumbled, and fell. Thankfully, she didn't hit her head, but later that day, she had a mini stroke, what doctors call a TI. Her doctor explained that the way she was rising in the morning was part of the problem. That quick movement triggered a chain reaction her body just couldn't handle anymore. So what should you do instead? The safer, stroke-conscious way to rise starts with a pause. When you first wake up, don't spring up like you used to when you were 30. Instead, give your body a moment to adjust. While still lying down, stretch your arms and legs gently. Then roll onto your side and push up into a seated position. Let your feet dangle over the edge of the bed and just sit there for 30 to 60 seconds. Take a few deep breaths. Feel your balance. Let your blood pressure stabilize. Once you feel steady, place your feet flat on the floor, use the bed or a sturdy surface for support, and stand slowly. Not in a rush, there's no fire drill. Give your body the few seconds it needs to catch up. This tiny change, we're talking less than a minute, can make a huge difference. It helps your brain get enough blood, prevents that head rush feeling, and lowers the chance of a stroke or fall. It's one of those things that doesn't seem important until it is. And for anyone who lives alone or doesn't have someone nearby in the mornings, this becomes even more critical. A fall or stroke during those quiet hours can go unnoticed for too long. So this isn't just about comfort. It's about safety, dignity, and preserving your independence. In the next part, we're going to look at something just as simple and just as sneaky. It's about what you put or don't put into your body first thing in the morning, and why a glass of water might just be more powerful than you think. You'd be surprised how many of us start the day with everything but water. For many older Americans, the morning ritual goes something like this. Shuffle to the kitchen, pour a strong cup of coffee, maybe check the paper or the TV. That warm mug is comforting, familiar. It feels like the start of a brand new day. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Skipping water in the morning can quietly raise your risk of stroke. Let's back up for a second. Overnight, while you sleep, your body loses water. Even though you're not sweating or running around, you still breathe out moisture and your body still works. Your kidneys, your lungs, even your brain. By the time you wake up, it's been anywhere from 6 to 9 hours since your last sip. That means you're starting your day at a disadvantage, mildly dehydrated. Now, when you're younger, a little dehydration might make you feel a bit tired or cranky. But after 60, your body doesn't bounce back the same way. That slight dehydration makes your blood a bit thicker, it flows slower. And when your blood is thicker, it's easier for clots to form. And as we've learned, most strokes are caused by a clot blocking the blood flow to the brain. It's no small issue. A study published by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that even mild dehydration can increase the risk of clot-related events, especially in older adults. Combine that with the natural morning rise in blood pressure, and you've got a situation that quietly increases your stroke risk, all before breakfast. And coffee? As wonderful as it smells, it's a diuretic, which means it actually encourages your body to get rid of more water. So that first mug might be waking you up, but it's not helping your hydration levels one bit. In fact, it might be making the problem worse. So what's the fix? Simple. Before you reach for that coffee pot or tea kettle, start with a glass of room temperature water. Nothing fancy. No lemon wedges or vitamins needed. Just good, clean water. Sip it slowly, maybe while you sit at the kitchen table or open the blinds. Give your body a moment to soak it in. That one glass helps thin your blood slightly, refreshes your system, and gets everything moving safely. One older gentleman from Florida told me he started keeping a bottle of water by his bedside. First thing he does when he sits up in the morning is drink half of it before he even stands. He said he noticed fewer dizzy spells, better energy, and even fewer morning headaches. It's such a small habit, but it works. And if plain water isn't your thing, you can follow it with your favorite warm drink, coffee, tea, even warm apple cider if that's your style. The goal isn't to give up what you love, but to start your day in a way that supports your heart and brain. Hydrate first, then caffeinate. This one shift can help protect you from more than just stroke. It's good for your digestion, your joints, your skin, and even your memory. It's one of the easiest things to do, and yet so many skip it simply out of habit. So tomorrow morning, before the coffee, before the news, before anything else, give your body what it's quietly asking for. A little water to wake up and flow right. And next, we'll talk about another morning ritual that many folks look forward to, a hot, steamy shower, and why that comforting heat might not be as harmless as it seems. And while we're thinking about morning habits, there's another one that might seem comforting but could quietly put pressure on your heart, especially in those early hours. I'm talking about the hot morning shower and why a small tweak there might go a long way in keeping you safe. For many of us, especially as we get older, a warm shower is one of the nicest parts of the day. It loosens stiff joints, soothes sore muscles, and gives us a moment of peace before things begin. It's a ritual, even a small joy. But if that water is too hot, and especially if we step into it too quickly after waking up, it can do more harm than good. Here's why. When hot water hits your skin, your blood vessels respond almost immediately. They widen, which is why your skin turns a bit pink or flushed. That widening, called vasodilation, drops your blood pressure. And for someone who's just gotten out of bed, where blood pressure is already shifting, that sudden drop can leave you feeling lightheaded or even faint. At the same time, the heat increases your heart rate. Your heart starts working harder to keep up with the changes in circulation. For a younger body, that's no big deal. But for someone over 60, especially anyone managing high blood pressure, heart conditions, or taking medication that affects circulation, it can cause stress your system isn't ready for. One gentleman from Ohio shared that after his morning showers, he'd often feel wiped out, not refreshed. He thought it was just age catching up, but his doctor explained the hot water was spiking his blood pressure, then crashing it, and that his body was stuck trying to rebalance. When he switched to a lukewarm start, letting the water gradually warm up, those dizzy spells disappeared. The key here isn't to give up showers, not at all. It's to shift how you begin them. Start with warm, not hot. Let your body adjust. If you like your showers steamy, warm things up slowly instead of stepping straight into that sauna heat. It gives your blood vessels time to adapt without sending your heart into a race. And if you use a bath instead of a shower, the same rule applies. Ease into it. Test the water with your hand. And if it makes your skin tingle from the heat, that's a sign to cool it down just a bit. You want comforting, not scalding. Something else to keep in mind. Hot water also draws blood toward the skin, which can leave less circulating toward your brain for a short time. That's one reason people sometimes feel woozy when stepping out of the shower. Add in steam, closed doors, and a bit of dehydration from overnight, and that little sanctuary can start working against you. So when you're starting your day, think of the shower as part of your warm-up, not a jolt. Use that time to breathe, to stretch under the water, and to ease into activity. It's still your time, still your ritual, just one that protects your heart and brain rather than straining them. And speaking of heart health, there's another small decision many of us make early in the day that might need a second look. It involves your medication and the exact moment you choose to take it. For a lot of older adults, taking blood pressure pills is just part of the daily rhythm. You keep them on the nightstand, maybe with a glass of water, and pop them in first thing, sometimes even before you've fully sat up. It's routine, it's easy, and it seems like the smart thing to do. Get the medicine in early and get on with the day. But here's where that habit might be doing more harm than good. When you take blood pressure medication before you've even gotten out of bed, and then you stand up too quickly afterward, it can cause your blood pressure to plummet. And when that happens, your body doesn't always adjust fast enough, especially after a night of rest, when your circulation is already in a slower gear. The result? You might feel faint, dizzy, or even experience a sudden fall. Worse, if the brain gets too little blood flow during that drop, it can increase the chance of a stroke or mini-stroke. One woman from New Jersey told us she'd always taken her pills right when she woke up, usually before heading to the bathroom. She thought she was being diligent. But after nearly fainting 2 mornings in a row, her doctor asked about timing. They realized she was taking a strong dose on an empty stomach and rising immediately after, a double whammy that sent her pressure crashing. Now, she waits until she's seated at the breakfast table with some food in her system and says she hasn't had a dizzy spell since. There's real science behind this. Blood pressure medications, especially those known as beta blockers or ACE inhibitors, work by relaxing your blood vessels or slowing your heart rate. That's great when your body is up and moving. But taken during the body's most vulnerable moment, right after waking, they can do their job a little too well. And your body, especially in your 60s or 70s, can take longer to balance out. So what should you do instead? First and foremost, talk to your doctor. Everyone's health picture is a little different, and you should never change your medication routine without checking in. But in many cases, doctors recommend waiting until after you've been up and moving for a little while, ideally with a light meal or even a piece of toast. Taking your pills while seated, calm, and hydrated helps your body absorb the medication more evenly and avoids sudden drops. If you're not sure when you should be taking your meds, a good tip is to keep a little notepad or even a simple schedule by your pill organizer. Jot down how you feel after taking them, any dizziness, fatigue, or odd sensations. That way, you and your doctor can spot patterns and make adjustments if needed. Home blood pressure monitors can also be a big help. They're easy to use, and many pharmacies like CVS or Walgreens offer free blood pressure checks, too. Knowing what your numbers look like in the morning, before and after your meds, gives you a clearer picture of what's really going on. So if your current routine has you taking pills before your feet even touch the ground, it might be worth rethinking. That one tiny change could help your mornings feel steadier, safer, and more in tune with what your body actually needs. And as you move through those first moments of the day, there's one more habit that can quietly protect your health. A little gentle movement before you start doing anything else. Now, I know what you might be thinking. At my age, every move is slow already. Isn't that enough? And yes, slowing down is good. But what we're talking about here is being intentional about giving your circulation a head start, especially before you walk to the kitchen, check the mailbox, or start any real movement. Skipping those light stretches, even the smallest ones, can leave your blood a little sluggish, your joints a bit stiffer, and your balance not quite ready for the day. Here's why it matters. After a full night's rest, your muscles, joints, and blood vessels are in a state of rest too. Your blood has been pooling a bit while you're lying flat, and your heart is still in sleep mode. When you suddenly move without easing into the day, the body has to work extra hard to catch up. And for folks over 60, that sudden shift can be a trigger for dizziness, imbalance, or in rare cases, a clot being dislodged, all risk factors for stroke. But when you give your body a few light moves, even just a minute or two, you're helping everything get moving in sync. It's like warming up the engine on a winter morning before hitting the road. Take Mrs. Elaine, a 72-year-old widow from North Carolina. She told us she used to get out of bed and walk straight to the kitchen without thinking. Some mornings she felt okay. Others she had to grab the counter to steady herself. Her daughter showed her a few seated stretches, just ankle rolls, shoulder shrugs, and a slow neck tilt while sitting on the bed. Ever since she started doing them each morning, she said her body feels more awake before I even leave the bedroom. She hasn't had a wobbly moment since. And these movements aren't complicated. While you're sitting on the edge of your bed, you can start by slowly circling each ankle 5 times in each direction. Follow that with gentle toe lifts. Lift your toes while your heels stay on the floor, then reverse. From there, roll your shoulders up toward your ears, then back down in a smooth motion. Add in a couple of neck tilts, just gently lowering your ear toward one shoulder, then the other. Altogether, that's barely 2 minutes, but your heart, muscles, and circulation will thank you for it. If you want to go a step further, place your hands on your knees and gently twist your torso left and right to loosen the spine. Or extend your arms out wide and then wrap them around yourself in a little hug. These aren't stretches for athletes. They're stretches for folks who want to move through the day with stability, grace, and confidence. These simple moves do more than get your blood flowing. They send a message to your body. I'm awake, I'm present, and I'm ready. And when your day begins like that, you're far less likely to feel off balance, fatigued, or rushed. So even if you feel steady enough to skip them, consider doing them anyway, as a gift to your future self. Because each small act of care in the morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. And now that we've covered how to prevent stroke in those early hours, it's just as important to know what signs to watch for, and how quickly you need to act if something doesn't feel right. When you think about it, mornings set the tone for everything. They're quiet, familiar, and often taken for granted. But for those of us in our golden years, they're also a window of real vulnerability. And now you know, it doesn't take a major overhaul to make them safer. Just sitting up slower, sipping some water, easing into the shower, being mindful with medication, and taking a moment to move. Those simple shifts can add up to something powerful. It's not about living in fear. It's about living with care. Protecting your brain and heart doesn't require fancy equipment or complicated routines. It just asks for a bit of awareness, a little patience, and the willingness to treat your body with the same respect it's given you all these years. You've earned peaceful mornings. Mornings that don't start with a stumble or a scare, but with clarity, steadiness, and strength. And if sharing these changes helps even one person avoid a stroke, then this time we've spent together has been well worth it. If you found today's message helpful, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe to our channel Vibrant Elders, and share your own morning tips or stories in the comments. You never know who else you might help by speaking up. And remember, it's never too late to begin again, even with something as small as how you start your day. Take it slow, take it steady, and take care of yourself. Your best days might just begin with your next morning.